Thank you so much for making time for me today.
Thanks for coming by.
I really wanted to highlight everything that you're doing in the community. For those of you that don't know Elias Gallegos, he's the owner, operator, professor of Alliance Jiu Jitsu in Eastlake. But more than just Jiu Jitsu, he's taken the Jiu Jitsu positive mentality out into the community, and he has a big following. And I'm one of his biggest fans. But I really want to highlight people who are creating positive impact in our community and are going above who they are and just reaching out en masse to make our community better, a better place to live and a better place to grow. And man, really want to thank you for everything that you're doing. And I want to talk a lot about some of the projects that you have.
Sure, yeah.
I know Jiu-Jitsu is the way for you, man, and I'm really intrigued by it and what it brings to the community. You have amazing children's programs.
Yeah, we have one of the biggest kids programs in all of Southern California.
Wow, so tell me a little bit more about that.
So our kids program, we do more than just Jiu-Jitsu. I believe in making complete martial artists when it comes to if you're going to be training martial arts, right? So I believe that you should be proficient in striking and grappling, on the ground and everything like that. So we have classes Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. But really, why we're so successful isn't because of what we teach, but I believe why we teach and in the way that we teach. So we really try to instill leadership principles, confidence, understanding what honor is, understanding who you are as a person. I do a lot of speaking engagements at local elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. And one of the biggest things that they're dealing with right now, and for some time, is the bullying situation.
Yes.
Right? And so when you talk about bullying on both sides, what is a bully? A bully is somebody who doesn't feel confident in himself, so he wants to pick on other people.
Right.
And who is the bully picking on? He's picking on somebody who doesn't feel confident in themselves, right? So what we teach our kids here is we teach them and we try to help them understand who they are. If a student or somebody, an adult, if you understand who you are, one thing's gonna happen for sure. You don't have to impress anybody, right?
True.
And when you don't have to impress anybody, especially if we're talking about elementary school, middle school, high school, peer pressure, right? So when you don't have to impress somebody, you know who you are, now you can stand up for yourself. Once you get involved in the martial arts, and now you understand what you're capable of, now you can start standing up for the person who can't stand up for themselves, right? And so I believe that we are as successful as we are because of those properties that we instill in our students. They can go anywhere. You can go to the YMCA and learn Jiu-Jitsu. You can go down the street and learn karate and learn any type of martial art. But I believe that the way that we teach and how we teach is really what's made us successful.
Yeah, I mean, and I know a lot of parents who bring their kids here that they rant and rave about not only you and your team as instructors and what you're providing for the children, but the kids, the confidence level goes up.
Oh yeah.
They become more focused.
Some of my the best stories that I have are of kids that have come in and they've been bullied at school, or they're just getting bullied in the neighborhood.
Right.
And after 3 or 4 months, they walk in and with their head down in the beginning and they don't want to get on the mat. And then they walk around like they're 10 feet tall. And the parents tell me, there's no way that we could, what we're paying, it's not enough. What you have given to our kid, there's no way to repay you. And when someone tells you that, that's the best feeling in the world. When you know, not that you've shown somebody how to defend themselves, but when you've made an impact in a child's life where now they are going to be impacted for the rest of their life. You can't even imagine that feeling.
Well, you're changing paradigms and just the path that these kids are taking. Now, you also have a women's only self-defense class. Tell me more about that, because I think that's such a, with all the stuff that's coming out from Hollywood with sexual harassment, rape, etc. I think it's understated that women need a class like this, and I feel that women might be intimidated to come to a jiu-jitsu place where there's a bunch of men.
That's one of the. So this is one of the reasons that we have a women's only class. Most jiu-jitsu academies don't have a women's only class, right? And then if they do, they might have one class. We actually have 2 women's only classes here.
Awesome.
I don't know of any other school in San Diego that has the same amount of women's only classes that we have, right? We have about 40 to 50 women in our program, right? That's a lot for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy, especially when we're not very big size-wise, but for the size that we are, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I do, I don't know if you know this, but I do once every 3 months, I do a free women's self-defense clinic for the community of Eastlake and Chula Vista. Wow. So 1 out of 4 women in their lifetime will be a victim of domestic violence.
Wow.
So I know you know more than 4 people,
Wow.
4 women.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
So I started thinking to myself, okay, I understand. I know the importance of jiu-jitsu, right? I've been training for over 21 years. I know how it's impacted my life. How can I now translate that over to women? But it's just like you said, a woman will walk in here, or a young female will walk in here knowing that they need some type of self-defense, right? But you walk into most jiu-jitsu places and you have 20, 30 guys on the mat, all different sizes, different ages, and it can be very intimidating, right? And unless you're a woman that already plays some type of sport or is very aggressive, you walk in and you might not ever walk back in. You know, you're gonna walk in, turn around and walk back out. So I said to myself, okay, how can we make it more alluring for them to want to come back in and want to stay, right? So we started the women's only program. I have a 5-time world champion in Talita Alancar, who is our women's instructor. She is, I mean, she's this tall and she weighs 115 pounds. And I'm not lying. When we train, it takes everything I have to like stop her from, you know, but that's the power of jiu-jitsu, you know?
Right?
That's the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu, you know? And then I did this as well. I said, okay, you know, our price is pretty high. Let me do so now I have 2 price ranges. One for adults, right, for adult males, and then a very cheap price for females. I don't want there to be any excuse, right? So jiu-jitsu, if you go anywhere in San Diego, we're like the hub of the world in jiu-jitsu, right? It's super expensive. It's very expensive. It's one of the most expensive martial arts to take. So I've done those 2 things. You know, I've made 2 women's only classes, and I've slashed the price for women only. And they can come in and they can train in any of the classes. They can do everything, but they have a special price. So that's I'm cool. Trying to just, you know, and I think because of that, that's why we have so many women in our program.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I've seen that you also have in these workshops you have young girls too.
Yeah, we
Not
do.
Just women, but
middle school
girls, right?
I mean, look, I want a girl. Me and my wife are like, we're trying. Right? I want a little baby. I want a girl so bad, right? Because I have 2 boys. God forbid, you know, if I have a little girl, 12, 13 years, and she comes home to me one day and says, this guy grabbed me, you know, I'm going to go to jail. Let's be real. I'm going to jail, you know, because I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to hurt somebody. But, you know, it's like, it's so important. You know, I know you live in the area. And when I go and pick up my kid, I see sometimes the high school, the middle schoolers, and the elementary schoolers are all getting out roughly around the same time, right? And you see literally hundreds of kids walking by themselves. And it's so important for me to try to get back to the community. So that's why when we do the women's only self-defense clinics for free for the community, I say from 12 and up. Because by the time you're in middle school, you know, you need to start preparing yourself and understanding that there are some bad people out there that might want to hurt you.
Well, I remember as a young kid, you know, that kind of stuff didn't affect me until right around middle school. So, and then you have to, you know, pony up. But I think it's tough for women. I think it's very... it's understated too that there's a lot more, I don't know if there's a lot more bullying, but I think the bullying that girl on girl too, or boy on girl is very intense.
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, I do a lot of speaking engagements at local elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, and it has turned up. I mean, it's, especially now with I mean, like social media, Facebook, Instagram, where before when maybe you and I grew up, I don't know, how old are you?
40, oh shoot man, 42.
Okay, so I'm 41, right? So when you and I grew up, we didn't have social media. You know, it was like, if you wanted to talk bad about somebody, it had to be in high school, right? It had to be like, you know, on the campus. Now, you know, there's bullying, there's cyberbullying.
It's intensified.
And it's just like a wildfire, you know? So it definitely has intensified, and it's something that we definitely can help with here.
So yeah, awesome kids programs. We got awesome women's programs. Now you're doing some great stuff with men too. So So this guy's edifying men out there because I think there's a lot in our society where there's stunted adolescence, where there's a lot of how many man-child or children do you know where they just haven't grown as men. Not because they don't want to, maybe they haven't been taught how to become men, or they don't have the right mentorship or guidance, or their parents maybe didn't know how to do it. But you're doing some phenomenal work with men, and with that I'm really proud of. I think that you've become the ambassador for manhood in a gentlemanly kind of way. You know, the warrior ethos. I mean, you're a warrior, but I think you follow that warrior ethos of compassion and focus and discipline, and I think you're instilling a lot of that into a lot of the men in the community. So tell me more about that.
Sure. So, you know, one of the things that, and all I know how to, I know how to be a man because that's how my father taught.
Right.
That's what my father taught.
Right.
Or that's how he taught me. Be loyal. Be a man of your word.
Yeah.
And stand up for yourself, but also stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves.
Right.
Those 4 things my father instilled in me, and that's what I try to teach here. There's a number of things that I do. I work with at-risk youth, and what I do with the San Diego Police Department and the diversion program, and we get these kids that have been given a second chance, right? And I would say 99% of the men in this program don't have a dad at home. They don't have a father figure. They don't have a mentor. And so what I do, what my foundation does, is we provide all the equipment for these guys. I give them mentoring, counseling. I provide for their travel when they come, whether it's the bus, whether it's the taxi, whether it's the trolley, Uber, whatever. I provide all that out of pocket through the foundation. And what I try to do is I try to just instill in them what my father instilled in me. I try to uplift them. I try to keep them out of danger. Those real dangerous hours right after school.
Yeah.
3 to 6.
Yes. When
maybe mom and dad or the guardian's not home, so a lot of free time. And you and I know when you have free time and you don't have the right friends, that's when you get in trouble. So we get them here, we help them with their work.
Very cool.
And then we teach them, or at least I try to teach them as much as I know about being a man.
Wow.
We also have a men's Bible study that we do here that's open to the public. And that's, what guy doesn't want to learn how to fight in some form or fashion, right? So what we do is we offer them, hey, you want to come to when we call it a growth group, because I understand that sometimes people might not believe in God or might not believe and worship the way that I do or the way that others do. So we call it a men's growth group. Yeah. And I actually have people of different faiths that are in the group, right? Yeah. Because look, I don't care what God you believe in. You're a man and I'm a man, and we have men problems,
of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you'll have 20, 35 men here just sharing what they're going through.
Yeah.
And after that, that's about an hour. After that's over, then I give them a free Jiu Jitsu class. So
awesome.
So they come on Saturday mornings.
I know where I'll be on Saturday.
They come on Saturday mornings. They get some help. They get some stress relief. They get to talk about their problems. Because look, if we have 25, 30 men sitting down, you're going through something that I might have just gotten out of. So hey, this is what I did.
Mentorship.
Right? Exactly. And that's exactly what it is. And man, lives are being changed, not just through jiu-jitsu, but on the mat, with that growth group.
That's cool, because I think women are really good about sharing.
Sure, yeah.
Really,
men are not.
We're not.
I don't want you to know
I don't want you to know my weaknesses. I don't want you to know that I'm failing.
Yeah. I want most men want everybody to think they have it under control. That's why we get lost, because we don't want to ask. Thank God for MapQuest, right?
Yes.
But back in the day, men would get lost because they don't want to admit that they don't know where they're going.
Exactly.
So that growth group has really helped out a lot of men.
Yeah, and I know a lot of friends of mine that come to your come to your group, and they've grown from it. They get addicted to jiu-jitsu, but also I think what happens is you create this beautiful forum to edify men, and a safe place where they can be vulnerable and really voice some of the weak spots that they need to strengthen. And I mean, you train, right?
Right.
You're
I try to train.
You got to train some of your weaknesses,
of
right?
course,
Otherwise,
most definitely.
you start getting injured, and I think that's a good metaphor for life. You train here and then train in life as well. So that's really good.
Train for life.
Now, there you go. Train for life. There you go. See, I also want to talk. Well, what's the name of your foundation?
So the name of my nonprofit is the Alliance East Lake Jiu Jitsu Foundation.
Okay.
And in the foundation, we do a number of different programs. I work with, like I said, the San Diego Police Department and their at-risk youth. Yeah. And I go and speak to the diversion program every 6 weeks, mentor and counseling. What I just started doing with them, I don't know if you know who Admiral McRaven is.
Yes.
Okay, so I heard his speech, right? And I try to read 3 books a month, right? So I heard his speech, and I was at Barnes & Noble, and I saw that he wrote a book based on the speech, right? Wow. So what I did was I bought every single copy. That was like 35 books, whatever, right? And the last diversion program I went to, which was last Tuesday, I brought the books, and what I usually do at the program is that, after I get the kids that come up to me that want to be a part of my program, I tell them, look, you get a lifetime membership for free, you have to pass diversion,
very cool.
I provide everything for you, and that was usually it. But this time I said, look, everybody has 1 week, it's only 100 pages, right? Everybody has 1 week to read this book. This book has impacted me so much, and I really believe that it can impact you guys. So if you're gonna come to my program, this is your ticket. You have to read the book, and in 1 week you have to come back with your mom or your guardian And I don't care if you write 3 sentences. You have to have something on paper. If you didn't like it, tell me why you didn't like it. If you loved it, tell me why you loved it. Did you learn anything from it, right? So now, as my nonprofit grows, I'm growing as well in learning how to deal with stuff like this, right? So I work with the diversion kids there. I work with female victims of domestic violence.
Wow.
We give them free lifetime memberships here. We empower them.
Yes.
We get them plugged into the program. One of my biggest programs is I work with combat veterans that suffer with PTSD.
Yeah, well, tell me more about that. 'Cause I
Yeah.
know that you get a lot of veterans come back home with PTSD, and I know you've been doing for years.
Yeah.
Tons of work, and that's one of the things I really want to highlight.
Yeah,
today,
yeah.
is the work that you're doing with veterans with PTSD.
So we live in, San Diego is a military city,
Yeah.
right? And everybody knows somebody who's either in the military or who has been in the military. And, me doing jiu-jitsu for over 21 years, I've met a ton of military guys, and I didn't know anything about PTSD or shell shock. I didn't know anything about that. All I knew is this. I had a friend who was training with me, went overseas to the Middle East, came back, and then hadn't seen him for about a year or two. And when I saw him, he actually came to the gym, high, drunk, and wanted to shoot himself. Right? And the last time I had seen this guy, we were training, smiling, we were partying, going out. The guy that was sitting there was not the guy that I knew.
Completely different person.
We talked for about 2.5 hours right there on that side right there. And after that, everything was good. He came back to training, started training, everything like that again. But I thought to myself, whoa, what's going on? So I started, like anything that you care about, you start to try to dig deeper, right? What is this? What's going on? PTSD started coming up. The 22 veterans a day that commit suicide, all this stuff started coming up. And I thought to myself, okay, how can I help these guys? Here's one thing that my father always taught me. Success is not about what kind of car you drive.
Right.
It's not about, how much money you have in the bank, or it's not about the house that you live in. But success is about what you can give back to people.
Yeah.
Right? And so at that point in my life, I think this was like our 3rd year or 4th year that we've been open. And we were on our way, When I left my other job, I had close friends that said, you're never going to make it. You're not going to make it. You don't have what it takes to make it. And once I realized, look, I feel that I'm at a point now where I can give back.
Yeah.
How can I do it? So my first program, the first ever program we had, was the Combat Veterans Program. I didn't even have a nonprofit. My nonprofit didn't even exist until earlier this year.
Wow.
I've been doing this for 5 years on my own.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I did was, like you were saying before, with my videos, I posted a video on Facebook and I said, okay, if you are a combat veteran dealing with PTSD, I'd love to give you 6 months free at my gym. Boom, right? And so, but here's the thing, after 6 months, these guys were like, I'm not taking my medication anymore. This is, this is, I'm talking to my wife. The best one is I don't drink anymore. You know what I mean? Okay. And all these success stories, but this 6 months is over. And now, look, as a business, now I sat down at my desk and I'm thinking to myself, okay, the 6 months is going to end in like 2 weeks. I have to tell these guys, 6 months is over.
Yeah.
And how do you approach that? Because it's not like these guys are just regular students that came in the door. They came for help and they got it here. And now I'm going to tell them, hey, you guys have to start paying, right? And so in my heart, it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So then I made another video and I was like, hey, if you're a combat veteran suffering with PTSD, come on down and you get to train for the rest of your life for free, right? So then those guys that were here in the beginning, they were like, hey,
what happened to me?
I was like, you guys get it. So what I do is when they come in, I hand them a gi, I hand them gloves. Man. I do a little assessment with them, about 20 minutes. We talk. Before I used to ask them if I could pray for them. Now I just pray for them, right? So awesome. As you grow in anything, you learn what to do, what not to do. You make mistakes, you learn from the mistakes. So it takes about a 20-minute assessment. We talk. I allow them to share what they've gone through, and I would say 75% of them are like, "Is this real?" Yeah. So
what's the catch?
They're like, "So I can come back." I mean, I got a class at 6.
Come on,
right?
back.
And so that's how that program started. And man, these guys, my success stories with the Combat Veterans Program is when these guys tell me, hey, I'm not on my medication anymore.
That's
I'm not taking the pills anymore. Like that's, jiu-jitsu, it saves lives, man. But,
Yeah.
Now you're learning how to be healthy, you're eating right, you're sleeping better.
Yes.
The biggest thing is, for God or for anybody in general, stress will kill you.
Yeah.
You've been in class before,
Yeah,
okay?
heck yeah, man. You
work out, so
Yeah.
you've been in class before.
Yeah.
On the mat, when you're done and you can barely walk, you don't have time to be mad because you want to go and eat and go to sleep.
Exactly.
So that's what we're doing with the Combat Veterans Program, and so it's open all year long.
That's cool.
There, all people have to do is come in and say, hey, I saw you have a Combat Veterans Program, and we get started.
Man, so veterans, if you're seeing this video right now and you're suffering from PTSD, Elias has a home for you here at Alliance Jiu-Jitsu East Lake, serving the community at large, but Bonita, East Lake, Chula Vista,
All of the South Bay area,
wherever you come from, he's got a home for you.
I have somebody who comes all the way down from Carlsbad.
Wow.
Just for the program.
Well, there you go, man. Man, all I can say, Elias, is thank you for everything that you're doing. Everything that you're doing for the community. I mean, you're a positive beacon in the community. I think you really embody that true warrior ethos, and in the sense that you can take care of business.
Sure.
But you're also taking care of business in the community, making sure the community's better along with you growing up. I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you.
I mean, you're already successful, man. But I keep growing, man. We're cheering you on. We're big fans. So. For you guys, for the people who are watching right now, where can they reach you best to get in touch with you on social media? Facebook,
so
Instagram?
So we have Instagram, it's Alianza Jiu-Jitsu East Lake. Our Facebook is Alianza East Lake Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
And then they can email at info@alliancebjjeastlake.com, or they can just give me a call at 1-619-931-4370. Or they could just walk in.
Walk in,
How about
man.
that?
Walk
Just
in. There you go. So if you know where the East Lake post office is on Kuhn, they're right across the street. And if you haven't seen his videos yet, this guy's giving DJ Khaled a run for his money. I kid you not, man. Positivity, creativity, and he's gonna edify you, make you feel good about what you're up to. And if you need help, he's here, brother.
And, let's do this too. If anybody comes in or contacts us that says they saw us on here, we'll give them a big discount.
Well, there you go. Discount with this video. How about that? Well, man, thank you for being such a champion for the community, man. Much love.
Thank you.
And nothing but success, man. Love you guys. Love this guy. Come and see him. Just come talk to him, man. This guy's the champion for the community. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, brother. That's good.